You guys, welcome to another episode of Soft Rebellion. My name is Zendacha, and thank you so much for joining me. I've been thinking a lot recently about how we show up as friends in the workplace, in business, and even in our own families. Are we the kind of people who show up to extract value, to take, or do we add value in the spaces in which we show up? And I reflected on my own actions as well and how I show up in friendship. If you follow me, I would always boast about how good of a friend I am, because I usually am, right? But there was one situation where I caught myself extracting value in a friendship I hadn't invested in yet. And I know this sounds bad, right? Because it makes friendship seem like it's this transactional interaction. But I hope you get my point later on in the conversation. But there's this new friend of mine, Tepi. I've known her for just over a year. And, at one point she was very kind enough to lend me her dog. I was babysitting her baby Luna. And the reason for this is because I'm in the market for a dog and I wanted to see if my lifestyle could accommodate having a fur baby. And I also wanted to understand as well the amount of effort and time required to take care of a baby. In the process, Tepi ended up telling me about another friend of hers who breeds dogs. And she was more than happy to assist me in, owning a dog through her friend. When the time came for me to get a dog, I was really just wanting a dog. And I pushed Tepi for the contact. And I think in my speech as well, it may have come across as if I expected to be given the dog and not pay for, the fact that the lady would have bred the dog. There's also some health checks and treatments that the dog would have been subjected to. So there was that misunderstanding as well. And I think had we been clear enough about this, or known each other long enough, Tepi would have felt comfortable enough to address that concern with me much sooner. And I think prior interactions as well would have clued her in on the type of person I am, that, having those kind of conversations is more than okay, and that I would have been happy to pay for the dog. But there was no context, and there was not enough interactions between her and I to really know that Zendacha is this kind of person. But at the same time, I think facilitating dog ownership was such a huge task, administratively and otherwise. It just so happened that Tepi was also going through her personal stuff at that time. So she was very busy and I was just asking for a lot, and I think I was asking too much too soon in that friendship that I hadn't yet invested in time, effort, support, love, whatever value I could have invested in that friendship. I hadn't done enough of it yet to be expecting such a huge transaction or withdrawal, so to speak. And it really got me to think about, ways in which we show up. I remember someone on social media also talking about how we now complain as adults that Christmas is no longer the same, that Christmas is so boring, whereas during our time when we were younger, it was so much fun. We would wake up and the adults would have cooked all our favorite meals, It just seemed like a magical time. And the point she was raising was that we still have the same level of expectation now as adults, that we want to receive, we want to get something, we want people to do all these things for us. But the magic really during this time is for us to show up as the adults who invest, who create these magical moments for the younger generations, for our kids, for our nephews and nieces. But we don't do that anymore. We're still expecting to receive, Understandably, because we live in a society that's very much self-centered, that is self-interested, and it's all about what we get from every interaction. Unfortunately, people are wary of this in every sphere that you interact in. Like, you think about those people you avoid like a plague, because anytime you hang out with them, you are just so drained and depleted because they take. And this doesn't just apply to, material things, but it could be emotionally, mentally. They would be draining because, again, they come with, the taking mentality, complaining, and always wanting others to create environments that are conducive for them, but never doing the same. In the workplace, it's the same thing. People who constantly come to take and take and take, you avoid them. You'd have people who complain about everything and never really offer solutions, or you have to constantly follow around to do their job. They never just proactive to say, hey, I've done 1, 2, 3. Is there anything else I can assist you with? Or are you overwhelmed? I can take 1, 2, 3 off your hands. That's how you build trust, and that's how you build currency with people in your spaces. Anyway, I'm like going on and on and on about this because it's something I'm really, really passionate about, and I often get asked, how can I be a good friend, or how do I find myself with good friends and whatnot? And really, my advice is that be the type of person who adds value for others. It could be in the workplace. If you're starting out in your workplace, the way you stand out is by adding value, in the small things. In friendships, to win friends, to be trustworthy, to be someone that people look forward to, add value. Excuse me, that doesn't mean that there won't be a time when you need your friends. And best believe that when you need something from your friends, they're more than willing to jump for you, because they know that, hey, Z is not the type of person who extracts all the time, who takes all the time. If anything, she's more than willing to assist where she can, And this isn't to say you must deplete your own reserves to try and make everyone else happy. For instance, with Tepi, I was more than happy to babysit her dog. Yes, I was glad to relieve her of Luna, but it also made me happy. I was looking forward to, taking cute girl walks around my estate with this fluffy, gorgeous ball of a dog, and get some cuddles. It made me so happy. And also because I could relive memories of having Bruno. I had a dog that passed on last year, and I could relive that with Luna, and so it was an exchange that I also benefited from. And this just highlights the point that showing up for people doesn't always have to deplete you. It can be something that is for your own good as well. Like, I remember a friend of mine earlier this year going to the hospital, and it was like, no, Chumi, I'm gonna be okay, but for my own peace of mind, because I was getting anxious, and I was like, I'm gonna be there, I want to be there. And I got something out of that as much as he did. So you can show up in ways that still build from the other person, and not always think, oh, what do I have to get in return? What do I have to get in return? People who do that, they very seldom earn trust from those around them. If you're self-centered in how you approach friendships and how you approach work, and how you approach relationships in your life, then you're doing this wrong. Like, I know, even with networking, I know a lot of times women in business would be told to go and network, attend events and follow so and so and try to be close to them. Often the messaging is so that we can derive something from them. It's never with the intention that, hey, I can offer 1, 2, 3, I can be helpful to the person in 1 or 2 or 3 ways. Same as mentorship, I can think of so many things that oftentimes are framed as, oh, we need to get this out of this process, and never that we need to add value. So I've got this question just before I close, because this is getting longer than I intended it to be. Are you the person who adds value, or are you the person who takes value from your family, from your friends, from your workplace? I can't speak on relationships, but yeah, from relationships too. or do you also invest just as much as the other person? Because that really sets the stage for you to be able to withdraw later without even having to ask. The people won't even think twice before they show up for you, because they know you are the type of person who gives selflessly, who shows up all the time, who supports others, who loves, and without any expectation to get whatsoever. Yeah, that's it from me today. Thank you so much for joining me. And please do subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I can't believe I'm saying this. But it feels like a dream come true. If you haven't followed this podcast yet, please do follow it. Share it with your friends if you think someone is going to benefit from it. Leave me a comment. I saw 2 comments and they made me so happy on Spotify. Oh, yeah. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I don't take this lightly, but yeah, enjoy the rest of your day.